We're live Monday. It is the Rich Lieberman Bay Area Media Pulse. Tell your friends about me. Tell them all the scandalous stories and make sure you spell my name right and you pronounce my last name right beyond anything and everything else. We're almost at the end of March already, and man, it's my old man syndrome, I guess, hitting me. Time goes real fast, and when you get older, when you're younger, you can't wait for summer vacation, and things are lasting. What good things seem forever, and the crap and the bullshit and all that uh, doesn't go by fast. When you get older, it just anyway. All right, I'm off on a tangent to start a week. But I talked about it just now in a sort of a ad-libbing kind of manner. And people ask me about radio, why I'm so down on Bay Area radio. I just listen if you can stomach it. And I keep hating that phrase. It's like a cliche almost now. Radio is dead. Radio is dead, and it really is. Particularly the morning radio shows here, and there's not many. And the ones on FM, which I thought were palpable, which I thought had some element of, I don't want to say creativity. They're all these packaged crap. I'm driving around. I don't know. I listen to FM just by habit because I think the radio. God, boy, am I losing it these days. Satellite. Hello. Satellite radio is so overrated. It's basically just morning shows throughout the land that they put on as satellite. They think, oh, it's creative. No. You know what's creative, which is lacking, doesn't even exist. There's no conversation left on the radio, particularly Bay Area radio. I mentioned I'm driving around listening to FM, and they ask me, well, why don't you talk more about FM? All you talk about is KNBR, which horrible, KCBS, and whoever. Why don't you talk about the FM? And I'm listening to FM. There's nothing there. It's all this saccharine, benign radio shows. And they're all prepackaged shit. Their idea of creativity, is nothing. They have no creativity, Ken. I'm listening to some show this morning, and they do this lame, and I mean lame bit. I think it was 101.3. The Breeze used to be K101. And they call this gal, I guess she had a first date with some guy, probably some asshole, which he sounded like. I'll get to in a minute. And so the bit is she calls the radio station, right? And the radio station gets in touch with her. So they do one of these surprise, get the guy whom she went out with, the first date. Wait to hear this. This is real profound. They called the guy back and tell him, without saying that, she's on the line, that she wants a second date. And, first off, they call this moron, whoever he is, and he first thing he says, which is funny, that he doesn't listen to the radio station that's calling him. Anyway, that was funny. Good plug. So then they tell this moron that, that date that you had, she'd like to go out with you again. Would you be interested in her? And I'm going to snap this up because it's really boring. And he proceeds to tell that, oh, no, she freaked me out because she didn't tell me that she has kids. Like, you got freaked out because she didn't tell you that she had kids. It's not something you get freaked out. You might be surprised. You might, he's like making a big deal about it. And then they bring the woman, the Yenta, on. And she goes, well, I don't have kids. I was actually doing a favor for my girlfriend and I put kids' seat in the back. I mean, just stupid shit. That's supposed to be creative. Oh my God. But FM, which used to have some decent DJs and people that had, conversation and could just talk and be creative and funny, dare I say that word. But it's all these prepackaged, and most of them are syndicated shit. Ryan Seacrest, that's what we're supposed to be so happy about these days. Ryan Seacrest. Yeah, wonderful. Unbelievable. That's when he's on all these prepackaged syndicated shows. Yeah, I'm going to talk about FM in the Bay Area, right? Which maybe the only thing good about FM is that it's not AM and the crap that you guys have to endure, those of you that still listen to this shit on KNBR, a joke of a radio show. And you look, they give me ammo. I'm going to go with it because I don't listen to the shows other than to be the mad scientist that I am and subject my self through this shit. Excuse me. Brian Murphy and Marcus. That's what constitutes. No wonder they're 18th in the market in morning radio shows. It's awful. And Brian Murphy, Mr. Cosmopolitan man, the guy cannot hold up a conversation. He's not alone, but he's more than evident because all it is bit after bit after bit. If it's a pre-packaged, rehearsed, totally non ad lib, it's supposed to sound like it's ad lib, and it isn't. It's bits. And he has an excuse, I hear. Oh, I have to follow the clock. Fuck the clock. Adhere to the clock by acting like you're a semi-fucking human and not the phony shill that you are. And then the other Dorcas who belies the feeling now that's true. You get what you pay for. So they have this moron on, fanboy, and Brian Murphy with his number 28 Buster Posey jersey doesn't have an ounce of conviction in his bone, is a thorough shill. And excuse me, folks, my eyes didn't adorn you. But there's no, hey, that's one of the things that Howard Stern gets a lot of credit for, is the fact that, and even when he was on terrestrial radio, he could hold a thought and he would talk, and they'd have elongated versions, or elongated, or is it elongated? I don't know. Elongated versions of a time before they went to a commercial where they talked. They just had simple dialogue. And that's an art today because everything is like a little bit. Oh, let's do something called cooler of content, which all they do is play some actualities from news events through the weekend, or they'll play some stupid sound bite that they got, whatever. It's not funny. They're not funny. That's why they're 18th in the market in the morning radio shows, and why they couldn't even break a 2. Same thing with 95.7 The Game. I'm just mentioning various shows because we have very little. We have basically no real radio in the Bay Area. And morning shows are putrid. They just defy any creativity, any real thought, any real iota of simple, normal conversation. It's Monday. Hey, John, Jill, Steve, what was your weekend like? Oh, another thing too. After all the obligatory, I played golf. Nobody gives a shit if you played golf, Brian Murphy. Nobody gives a shit about anybody's bracket. It's a cliche. How about just what you did. I went to this real interesting place and had a great, great breakfast. They had this real delicious breakfast. It wasn't even that expensive and it was good and the coffee was good. Or I had my green tea and I went to this place and there was this beautiful woman who was sitting on the other side of the area near where they pour the coffee. And I looked at her and it was my friend's friend, but I didn't know it at the I mean, just something like that. I just made that up off the top of my head. But we don't have that. It's all these little stupid, manufactured, artificial bullshit bits. And you know who caters to this, interestingly enough, are older men, truck drivers. Not all of them, but just people starving for something that still listen to the radio. I listen to radio mostly as background noise now because, as I said, in order to go get something else or go to another market or LA or something, you got to put your computer on or your iPhone on. I just have the radio on as background noise, but we used to have really thought provoking. It wasn't even thought provoking, come to think of it, just normal conversation, drinking your coffee. That's what lacks today. That's why people are so fed up and why radio is so dead, is because you don't have any local, you don't have any period, doesn't even matter about geography. You don't have any comfort radio where they just have a conversation. Yeah, I know they got to adhere to a clock. So what? So you adhere to a clock and you talk and you take your break and you come back and all that. That might score decent numbers. That might adhere to traffic. That might penetrate and become conversational and word of mouth. You know what the best, most reliable, most ancient, but it works, form of admiration, not even just admiration, just plain notice, just plain, that's interesting. Genuineness, real talk, real non manufactured crap, talking, conversation. You don't have to be slow and methodical, but you can develop a little bit of an interesting scenario. I mentioned, hey, I went and had this breakfast at this cool little place in wherever, and talking about that or having extemporaneous conversations about whatever. And if it's great, fine. If it's boring, people say, you know what, that was sucking, that bored. But at least it's from the heart. At least it shows some deference towards just basic common material. I shouldn't even say material. It's real. It happened. Therefore, no matter how mundane, at least you can say that you didn't have to rely upon these artificial quips and bullshit like Brian Murphy exudes and wonders why people, other than the moron program director at KNBR, put him on and put out bullshit that he got a contract extension, which is bullshit, and allows people to listen to shows that have some element of frankness in them. But that doesn't happen today because long ago we lost the art, not we, they lost the art of just being simple human beings. It's not something that you have to learn. You either have it or you don't have it. And in this case, the radio is so abysmal. The very, very, very little radio that we have is so abysmal because people, you know what? They have a good sense of what's hip and what's not hip. And boy, oh boy, do they get it here. We're not hip. The Bay Area radio, particularly morning radio, is abysmal. And I'm being diplomatic.